They were gone for 66 million years, erased by fire from the sky, buried beneath stone, remembered only as fossils in silent museums. And yet tonight, beneath a blood-red sunset, the ground trembles again. Across storm-lashed coastlines and forests choking with mist, shadows move where no shadows should exist. A distant roar rolls over the landscape like thunder, ancient and primal, not an echo of the past, but a warning from the present. This is not a world of myth, not a dream of science fiction. This is Earth, reclaimed by its original titans. And as climate shifts, oceans rise, and humanity struggles to control the forces it unleashed. One question claws its way to the surface, in a planet already fighting to survive. What happens when extinction decides to evolve? In the vast blue cradle of the Pacific, where tectonic forces wrestle beneath the ocean floor and volcanic fire once carved islands from molten fury, a realm long erased by extinction breathes again beneath veils of mist and emerald canopy. And here on Isla Nublar, an isolated jewel suspended between storm and sunlight, the ancient pulse of the Mesozoic era echoes once more across basalt cliffs and fern-choked valleys, for through the audacious hand of human engineering, DNA fragments preserved in amber have been stitched together, sequenced, rewritten, and awakened, summoning back into existence creatures whose footsteps once shook a primordial Earth. And as dawn spills molten gold across the horizon, the silhouette of a Brachiosaurus emerges through drifting fog, its immense neck rising like a living tower above cycads and conifers, lungs drawing in humid air heavy with the scent of wet soil and sulfur. Its heart, a biological engine of staggering power, forcing blood upward through arteries evolved to defy gravity itself, sustaining a body that harvests sunlight by grazing treetops untouched by smaller herbivores, shaping the forest simply by feeding, pruning the canopy and allowing light to filter downward, creating ecological niches where insects thrive and smaller reptiles scatter through undergrowth. Below these giants, the island's geography reveals a mosaic of ecosystems: dense rainforest pressed against jagged volcanic ridges, freshwater lagoons fed by seasonal monsoons, mangrove forests gripping the coastline where salt and silt entwine, and inland plains where tall grasses ripple beneath trade winds that carry the promise of storms born thousands of miles away. And within this dynamic landscape, survival is neither accidental nor guaranteed. For evolution favors those who adapt swiftly to both abundance and catastrophe. Herds of Parasaurolophus move cautiously along riverbanks, their hollow cranial crests resonating with infrasonic calls that vibrate through humid air, a language older than mammals, warning of predators concealed beyond curtains of foliage. Their powerful hind limbs propelling them through mud softened by nightly rains. Their broad beaks cropping ferns resilient enough to flourish in volcanic soil rich with minerals, yet unstable beneath shifting tectonics, and in the dappled shade, unseen eyes watch with predatory calculation, for velociraptors, feathered and formidable, navigate this labyrinthine jungle with lethal intelligence, their bodies streamlined for pursuit, tails stiffened for balance as they weave through tree trunks. Their sickle-shaped claws not merely instruments of death, but evolutionary masterpieces designed to grip, slash, and incapacitate prey larger than themselves, hunting in coordinated units that exploit terrain and timing, communicating through subtle gestures and sharp vocalizations, demonstrating that cognition itself is an adaptation as vital as tooth or talon. High above, the island's climate imposes relentless pressure. For Isla Nublar lies within a volatile corridor of tropical cyclones, where warm ocean currents intensify storms that hammer the coastline with torrential rain, and winds that tear branches from ancient trees, reshaping habitats overnight, flooding lowlands and isolating herds upon elevated ridges where food becomes scarce, and in these moments the resilience of species is tested. Ankylosaurus lower their armored bodies against gale-force winds, osteoderms deflecting debris like living shields, while gallimimus rely on collective vigilance and explosive speed to outrun collapsing trees and sudden flash floods. Their lightweight frames adapted for endurance across open ground, proving that survival often belongs to those who move fastest when landscapes betray them. Beyond the jungle's suffocating embrace, lies another dominion entirely, where turquoise waters conceal shadowed depths and coral reefs struggle against rising ocean temperatures linked to a changing global climate. And here, the Mosasaurus reigns supreme, an apex predator sculpted by marine evolution, its serpentine body undulating through currents with terrifying grace, jaws lined with conical teeth capable of crushing bone, eyes adapted to detect movement in refracted light, and as schools of fish scatter in glittering panic, this colossal hunter surges upward in explosive bursts, breaching the surface in cascades of white spray that momentarily suspend time itself, reminding us that the sea, too, remembers its ancient rulers. On land, the thunder of footsteps signals the arrival of the Tyrannosaurus rex, a sovereign of muscle and instinct, whose binocular vision grants depth perception unrivaled among reptiles, whose olfactory senses detect carrion miles away, ensuring that no opportunity for sustenance is wasted. And as it strides through fern-laden clearings, smaller predators retreat, acknowledging hierarchy etched not by law but by evolutionary dominance. Yet even this titan is not immune to the island's volatility. For shifting prey populations, driven by erratic rainfall and human-imposed containment boundaries, force the Rex to expand its territory, increasing encounters that can erupt into violent territorial clashes beneath crimson sunsets. And ever-present, though often unseen, is the influence of humanity, the architects of resurrection, whose electric fences hum along perimeters carved unnaturally through wilderness, whose observation towers rise like skeletal intrusions against green horizons, and whose climate-altering industries far beyond the island's shores intensify storms and warm seas, amplifying environmental stress upon ecosystems already balanced. ing on a knife's edge, for while genetic mastery has restored these creatures, it has not restored the ancient equilibrium that once sustained them across a supercontinent free from asphalt and carbon emissions. In shaded nesting grounds, Triceratops mothers guard their young with unwavering vigilance, frills flared and horns poised, instinct driving them to defend fragile offspring against both predators and environmental upheaval. Their herbivorous digestion, dependent on cyclical plant growth patterns, now disrupted by unpredictable droughts that parch grazing fields before monsoon rains arrive too late or too violently, eroding soil into rivers swollen beyond their banks. Above the canopy, pteranodons ride thermals rising from sun-baked cliffs, wings spanning vast distances as they survey territory for fish shimmering near the surface, their hollow bones reducing weight while maximizing lift. An elegant solution to gravity perfected millions of years before birds inherited the skies. Yet even they feel the strain of altered wind currents and shifting prey migration caused by warming waters. And so, within this engineered Eden, life unfolds as both miracle and warning, each species embodying the relentless ingenuity of evolution, while confronting pressures magnified by modern interference. As if the island itself were a living experiment, testing whether ancient biology can endure a planet reshaped by human ambition. And as twilight descends, painting the sky in bruised purples and molten amber, the jungle reverberates with calls, some territorial, some maternal, some predatory, blending into a symphony that transcends epics, a reminder that nature's power does not fade quietly but adapts, recalibrates, and persists when given space to breathe. Yet beneath the beauty lies fragility, for these resurrected giants stand not only against one another, but against rising seas, intensifying storms, and the unpredictable consequences of their own rebirth. And as the first stars pierce the humid darkness illuminating silhouettes of creatures thought forever lost to stone and fossil, we are confronted with a profound truth. Evolution may be relentless, but survival in this new world will demand more than strength. It will demand balance, restraint, and a humility humanity has rarely shown. For in resurrecting the past, we have inherited responsibility for its future. And the question, now echoing through Isla Nublar's steaming valleys, is not whether these giants can survive the wild, but whether the modern world can learn to coexist with the very forces it has so boldly unleashed. Beyond the shattered boundaries of Isla Nublar, beyond the electric fences that once hummed with human confidence, the engineered descendants of deep time now step onto continents unprepared for their return. And across vast mainland frontiers, from the red rock deserts of the American Southwest to the mist-draped forests of the Pacific Northwest, From subtropical wetlands along southern coasts to alpine valleys carved by ancient glaciers, the age of containment gives way to the age of consequence, as dinosaurs disperse into ecosystems already strained by climate change, urban expansion, and vanishing biodiversity, forcing a collision between prehistoric instinct and modern fragility. In arid badlands where temperatures climb beyond 40 degrees Celsius and rainfall grows increasingly erratic, herds of Edmontosaurus trek across sun-scorched terrain in desperate migration toward shrinking water sources, their broad, duck-billed mouths adapted to graze on hardy shrubs and drought-resistant grasses, their complex dental batteries grinding fibrous vegetation into digestible sustenance. Yet even these evolutionary marvels struggle as reservoirs dry and rivers recede into cracked earth, victims not of predators but of a warming climate accelerated by human industry. Above them, dust devils spiral into copper skies, while distant thunderheads gather with violent unpredictability, unleashing flash floods that transform barren gullies into roaring torrents, sweeping away nests and reshaping landscapes in hours, testing the resilience of species reborn into a world less stable than the one their ancestors knew. In dense temperate forests, where towering redwoods filter shafts of golden light and moss carpets the forest floor in ancient stillness, a different drama unfolds as Velociraptor packs adapt once more, no longer confined to tropical jungle but learning the contours of pine-scented wilderness, their feathered bodies insulating them against cooler climates, their metabolism calibrated for bursts of energy during coordinated hunts, and as they pursue deer through shadowed undergrowth, they demonstrate a terrifying versatility, proving that evolution, whether natural or engineered, rewards flexibility, yet their success ripples outward, disrupting food chains already weakened by habitat fragmentation, pushing native predators into decline, amplifying ecological imbalance. Meanwhile, in swampy lowlands where cypress knees rise from brackish waters and alligators once ruled unchallenged, the arrival of Spinosaurus introduces a new apex presence, its elongated snout lined with conical teeth perfectly adapted for gripping slippery fish, its dense bones granting buoyancy control as it wades through murky channels, a semi-aquatic titan reclaiming niches abandoned millions of years ago. Yet its dominance pressures fragile wetland systems threatened by rising sea levels and intensified hurricanes, storms fueled by warming oceans that now batter coastlines with historic ferocity, salinizing freshwater marshes and drowning nesting grounds beneath surging tides. Offshore, sightings of Mosasaurus along continental shelves send shockwaves through marine research communities, for these colossal predators traverse migratory routes, once dominated by whales and sharks, their powerful tails propelling them through increasingly acidic waters where coral reefs bleach and collapse. And, though perfectly adapted for pursuit, with keen vision attuned to refracted sunlight and lateral lines sensitive to vibration, even they confront oceans altered by plastic pollution and overfishing, where prey scarcity can ignite competition with modern marine life, reminding us that resurrection does not occur in isolation, but within systems already stretched thin and towering. Above suburban horizons, where glass and steel pierce the sky, the unmistakable silhouette of Tyrannosaurus rex occasionally appears along rural edges, drawn by livestock or the scent of carrion from highways that carve through former wilderness. Its muscular frame absorbing the shock of asphalt beneath clawed feet, its acute olfactory bulbs processing a mosaic of unfamiliar smells, fuel emissions, processed waste, human habitation, signals of a world utterly foreign to its evolutionary blueprint. Yet the Rex adapts as apex predators often do, expanding territory, altering hunting patterns to nocturnal hours to avoid human confrontation, illustrating a brutal truth. Nature does not retreat simply because civilization expands. In mountainous regions where snowlines recede earlier each year and alpine meadows bloom out of seasonal rhythm, small herds of Pachycephalosaurus navigate rocky inclines, their thickened cranial domes once used for intraspecies competition now serving as tools to dislodge lichen and hardy shrubs clinging to stone, an adaptation of opportunity in ecosystems shifting upward with warming temperatures. while pteranodons glide above thermals distorted by rising heat gradients, adjusting wing angles to compensate for turbulent air currents intensified by atmospheric instability. Their survival dependent on aerodynamic precision in skies increasingly unpredictable. Yet amid this spectacle of adaptation lies an undercurrent of human response. Containment initiatives escalate into militarized operations. Drones scan forests for thermal signatures, tranquilizer rounds replace observation cameras, and debates ignite across nations divided between fear and fascination, some advocating eradication to protect agriculture and infrastructure, others arguing for protected reserves, where coexistence might be studied and managed. And within research facilities, netists confront ethical reckonings, acknowledging that genetic manipulation once celebrated as triumph now carries cascading consequences, as modified genomes reveal unforeseen vulnerabilities, immune systems untested against modern pathogens, reproductive cycles misaligned with altered seasons, metabolic demands clashing with degraded habitats, and as wildfires rage more frequently across drought-stricken regions, their intensity magnified by decades of climatic warming, smoke billows across landscapes where herbivores flee advancing flames, their migration corridors blocked by highways and urban sprawl, creating bottlenecks where predators capitalize on chaos. Illustrating that environmental crises do not discriminate between ancient and modern species, but bind them in shared peril. Yet even in catastrophe there is resilience, for life persists through innovation. Triceratops adjust calving seasons to cooler months. Mosasaurus alter migratory timing in pursuit of shifting fish populations. Raptors refine cooperative strategies to minimize energy expenditure during longer hunts. And ecosystems, though strained, begin tentative recalibrations around these formidable newcomers. Still, the overarching tension remains unresolved, for the engineered giants were not merely reintroduced into wilderness. They were unleashed into a planet profoundly transformed by anthropogenic force, where atmospheric carbon reshapes weather patterns, where coastlines retreat beneath rising seas, where biodiversity teeters on the brink of a sixth mass extinction. And as twilight descends over continents now echoing with unfamiliar roars, humanity faces a stark reflection of its own ambition, recognizing that evolution cannot be selectively controlled without consequence, that resurrection demands responsibility, and that survival, whether of dinosaur or human, depends not on domination but on understanding the delicate architecture of the natural world. For in this unfolding chapter of Jurassic World Evolution, the question is no longer whether these creatures can adapt to Earth as it is, but whether Earth, reshaped by our hands, can endure the weight of giants once more.